June 11, 1965. Dearest Suzie, I doubt if you will get this letter before you go to New Jersey, but I am writing anyway. I have made the big move to Da Nang. It was like coming home again after a long field trip. Most of the people that I knew before are still here, so we had a big get-together night before last. I haven't flown since I got up here. All our ships are down for maintenance right now. I'm sure that our mail will be fouled up for a while. They say they are going to get mail up here twice a week, but I don't believe them. Also, they say that this is to be a 30-day trip, but I don't believe that either. But remember, in an earlier letter, I said that when you get back home, I will be short. Well, now when we both get back home, I will be short. I didn't get my orders before I left Vinlong, so now I don't know how long it will take for me to get them. Even when they do come in, it will probably take 2 weeks for me to get them up here. Our quarters up here are a little better this time. We have hot water and fairly good rooms. We are staying in an old French hotel that the army has leased. The food up here is better than Vinlong, but it costs more. I forgot what day you told me Johnny was going to get married. Will you be there for the wedding? Give him my congratulations, I guess. I suppose the boys are looking forward to the trip to New Jersey, and just hope they don't give you a lot of trouble on the way up. Also, if you aren't gone by the time this letter gets home, have a good trip and happy anniversary. I haven't forgotten, if that's any consolation to you. Say hello to your folks for me when you get home. I love you all and miss you very much. Kiss the boys for me. All my love, Bill. The following is the second part of a piece I wrote titled Shooting an Elephant in Vietnam. It is based off a Stars and Stripes article I found from 1965, Popi's materials, and the essay Shooting an Elephant by George Orwell. I hope you enjoy. When we touched down in the village, we were greeted by a large crowd which seemed to grow by the minute. We landed in a cow pasture just outside of the main thoroughfare, and people began blocking the roads on either side. I looked at the sea of yellow faces above the garish clothes, their faces all seemingly happy and excited over this gift, but also almost surprised that an elephant had actually been shot. As my guys transferred the meat to a wooden cart, the villagers watched us as they would watch a conjurer about to form a trick. Who knew if they liked us, but with the meat in our hands, we were interesting enough to watch. Children surrounded us with hands out, almost as if asking to pet the damn thing, and I had but a few pieces of chocolate on me that I handed out with vigor. What else was I to do to help those kids? The older ones stood in the back of the crowd and simply smiled and laughed. If I didn't know better, I would have sworn the laughter was almost uncomfortable. But we were always assured by the village elders that the children loved us for saving them from the communists. What did I really care what was true? After we finished, the village elders insisted that we take the tusks as a gift for our generosity. We knew we could not refuse and loaded them back onto the copter. Before we started up and flew away, my co-pilot looked at me with his longing eyes. Sir, there are 3 of us and only 2 tusks. Obviously someone's going to have to go home empty-handed. The guy who bagged the thing certainly deserves one, and so does the guy who held the bird steady. It's yours. My stomach sank at the thought of bringing home the big stick of ivory and hanging it above a mantel. It's yours, and that's an order, I replied. Before I knew it, we were back in the air, the villagers down below waving goodbye to us as we flew away. It was at that moment, as I sat there clutching the yoke, that I first grasped the hollowness and futility of America's dominion in the East. Here we were, American men with our guns and helicopters, flying away from a timid native crowd. In our minds, we were angels of freedom coming from the sky, but in reality, we were only an absurd group of puppets pushed to and fro by the will of men on the radio, doing everything they can to make the yellow faces on the ground submit. I realized at that moment that when America turns tyrant, it is its own freedom that it destroys, because through its rule it attempts to suppress evil native forces, which actually believe us Americans to be destructive imperialists, and in every interaction, us soldiers do nothing more than what everyone expects of us. The voices on the radio expect us to follow orders and protocols to free the country of the Reds, while the villagers on the ground expect us to do things like shoot elephants, then come down from the sky and present them with the meat. Here is what we think of your heritage and beloved animals. Be thankful that we allow you to eat it so we don't make you starve. They must think. We do nothing more than act the way that we are expected to act. The expectations, however, always at odds with one another. We committed to shooting the elephant when we boarded the Huey that morning. To come all that way from America, load ourselves up onto a helicopter that cost millions, strap a machine gun to its side, commit to fighting the VC, and then to not shoot an elephant when we saw one. No, that was impossible. The VC would know that we did not have control, that we were not in power, and our time in Vietnam, all of America's time in Vietnam, was one long struggle to maintain control. If we lost control here, the voices on the radio must have been afraid of losing control all across the world and could not let that happen. But I did not want to shoot the elephant. I watched him walk about the rice paddy, not much different than the one that had brought me joy just weeks before. It seemed to me that it would be murder to shoot him, even if he somehow helped the VC. I was not squeamish about killing animals, or men for that matter, but I had never shot an elephant and realized I never wanted to. When we landed back at the base, there were endless discussions about the shooting of the elephant. My CO was elated since it was a win-win-win. We killed a VC, the village got some meat, and his boys got to keep a token to remember Vietnam fondly by. A few days later, some boys from Stars and Stripes came by to ask about what happened, but I simply referred them to my gunner and co-pilot. They always had more to say anyway. I tried my best to forget the elephant and the look in its eyes and managed to do so by the time I left Vietnam, but that was really only because that memory was replaced by even more gruesome images. I was first reminded of the poor thing when I returned home. The trip back to Florida was long and tiring, but I was relieved to walk through my front door and hug my family. My wife and 2 oldest sons greeted me on the front stoop with big hugs and many I love yous. My youngest ran to us when he realized Daddy did actually come home and his older brothers weren't just telling lies again. He was clutching his favorite toy as he came from his room, a stuffed blue elephant with stunningly expressive but inanimate eyes. "Hey there, Brett," I said as I lifted him into the air and grabbed him tight. "How about we go to the store and get you one of those new G.I. Joe dolls to play with?" The photo I chose for today is a statue of an elephant. It looks like it's at a temple or a shrine. It is hard to tell. Regardless, it feels like it's in a place of importance. I'm Alex Lowy, and I hope you have enjoyed listening to this episode of Dearest Suzie, and receiving messages from the past that my Popi wrote exactly 60 years ago. I sincerely appreciate your time and interest. Please consider following the podcast on your preferred platform, and if you're enjoying it, I kindly ask that you take the time to rate the show and leave a review. Also, please follow the project on YouTube, X, and Instagram. All likes, comments, shares, and reviews will help grow the reach of this story. The links for these things should be in the description of this episode. Please feel free to email me at dearestsuziepodcast@gmail.com if you have anything you'd like to say. I'd love to chat or to hear about your stories as well. Thank you for listening, and God bless.